Welcome back to another episode of Front Page Esports. I'm Rob Flax, joined as always by my co-host Frank Salerno. We have a huge week of headlines, tournaments, crazy plays, and a lot of upsets. Frank, where are we starting this one off?
Yeah, so we're starting off in LCS. And we had the two top dogs of the league going into the weekend, tied for first, Team Liquid and Cloud9. They went head-to-head, and coming out of the weekend, still tied for first. So what happened there?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Cloud9 won a game and TL lost a game before their head-to-head matchup. And so when TL beat Cloud9, a big upset, honestly. Most people did have Cloud9 as winning it. They ended the week still tied. But this game was huge, Frank. Cloud9 pulling out an off-meta composition with the Sona Lux in the bot lane. They weren't quite ADs and they weren't quite supports. They both built Spellthief's Edge, but they split CS, a very bursty composition in the bot lane, and then Blaber on that Hecarim jungle just tearing through. If you only watch the first 20 minutes, you'd be convinced that Cloud9 took the game, but the MVP has to go to the bot lane of Team Liquid with Tactical on Ezreal and Core JJ on the Blitzcrank, with literally team fight changing hooks coming in from Core JJ, taking out Hecarim, slowing him down, knocking him up. And for those unfamiliar with how Hecarim works, his damage comes from his speed. Being able to slow him down is effectively taking out his entire usefulness in a team fight. Core JJ just changing the game. A big fight happened around the Baron pit where Team Liquid's top laner Impact on the Mordekaiser, as he's dying, is able to grab Cloud9's jungler and top laner within range of Ezreal, and Ezreal is just able to output that damage. While Cloud9 really doubled down on a burst composition, trying to get a quick 25-minute win, TL didn't let it happen. They turned that fight around. They were running away from a Tactical on that Ezreal with the consistent damage coming out, and they just couldn't get it. They just forced it down mid, took down the towers, took down the inhibitors, and after that, Cloud9 just couldn't contest, and Team Liquid really looked strong. Those first 20 minutes, they didn't let it bother them. They came in with the win, and they were able to take it. But moving on to some other games that happened this week, the Call of Duty League Toronto home series also happened this weekend, and the regular season finale before the playoffs begin in mid-August. The Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, Florida, all of the powerhouses came out to play in the weekend, and none of them were able to come away with a crucial home series win in the final push for seeding. Rather, Toronto Ultra got their first home series win of the season in what was a beyond shocking weekend for them. Frank, please, how did this happen?
So for some reason, Toronto just looked amazing this weekend. Maybe on the back of Cammy, kind of their leader at this point. Their sniper in S&D is probably the best sniper in the Call of Duty League, but he's also a beast in respawns. Players like Bance also had amazing weekends. Methods, who's one of the most beloved players in the community just for being a goofy, great personality. He kind of went huge in the last map 5 Search and Destroy against Atlanta FaZe in the grand finals with a Ninja Defuse against Major Maniac, and then a 1v2 to lock in the victory for Toronto. The stars just kind of aligned for Toronto, and they had to go through a lot of teams. Like you mentioned, the powerhouses were there. All the top 4 teams in the CDL were here at Toronto home series this weekend, but Toronto was able to win their own home series. And I mean, online home series don't matter as much, but still, it's a cool thing to say you represented your homestand and you got the win for your fans. So congratulations to Toronto. They clawed their way out of the bottom 4 seeding with this weekend's win. Optic Gaming LA kind of falls back. We talked about Optic Gaming struggles last week. They fall back into the bottom 4, so they will start in the losers bracket. But Toronto, they won't start in losers bracket, so a great job out of them getting out of that really tough hole you do not want to be in as you go to a $4.6 million prize pool tournament. And we have a little bit of time until playoffs roll around, a couple weeks break for the players to finish tuning their teams and figure out what they have to do for playoffs. But we will go in depth later on, and we have some time. But looking so far, we have 2 big matchups in winners round 1 between New York and Minnesota and Toronto and London. And those matches, man, I'm so excited to see these games in the playoffs in a few weeks. But like I said, we still have some time. So we'll take our time before we get there. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because there's a lot of coverage left.
But Toronto shedding that image of the nice Canadians. They're a mean team, and you do not want to be facing off against these guys. London, they're going to have to bring their all. This is not the Toronto from 2 to 3 weeks ago. This looks like a whole new team.
Yeah, and London is a team that struggles a little bit here and there, and they don't come in clutch when they probably should. So if you're a team like London Royal Ravens, you're looking at Toronto, who's hot now. I mean, they have a little bit of a break, so maybe they'll cool down. But if you're looking, you're Toronto, you're London, you're going, oh man, this is not who we want to be playing. You'd rather face a team like Minnesota, who has been struggling since like week 4 of the league. They have been barely relevant, and apologies to Minnesota fans. But
Well, Frank, it makes
yeah.
sense. Canada gets hot in the summer. London, lukewarm year-round. So you know
Yeah.
what? The weather is following the standings, as we can
Yeah.
see.
All right, Rob. So another tournament in esports this weekend, a Valorant tournament, came to the end of its run. And once again, Cloud9 has come up short, falling to another top-tier team in the finals. What happened with Cloud9 once again in Valorant?
Yeah, absolutely. Cloud9 might be trying to look at the Buffalo Bills and say, hey, how many times can we get to a final and not win it? They've done it twice. So, there's still some room. But, yeah, that's what they're looking at. Cloud9, again, in the PAX Arena Invitational, and they couldn't get their win. So, unfortunately for them, but fortunately for the Sentinels, they were able to win. Cloud9 just simply could not get the angles that they wanted. Their major player, TenZ, was just trying to do his classic style of get in your face, just have that mechanical advantage and just roll through the team, which is super great and a very effective strategy if you're able to pull it off. But it's really it's a glass cannon strategy.
Yeah.
And Sentinel just came in there with the hammer and shattered the glass. They were able to take one game off the Sentinels, but the Sentinels really jumping up. Everyone's saying they're the Us Sentinels, kind of a nice meme coming out of Twitch chat as usual. But yeah, Sentinels really proving themselves pretty nicely. A fun series to watch for sure. And 3 months after retiring from Overwatch and their premier competitor there, they're the teams that is now dominating in Valorant 2, kind of grabbing some players from here, from there, from everywhere. Really a mishmash team. People were wondering, are the Sentinels actually going to be able to have a cohesive team comp? And I mean, yeah, win a couple tournaments and then you start telling people, yeah, we're cohesive. We're getting these wins. What do you want?
Yeah,
you want wins? We're giving them to you.
So like you have these teams now like Sentinels and TSM and T1 who kind of just seem to have a little bit of an edge over a top roster like Cloud9. And Cloud9 just can't break through and get those wins that they probably should be getting. Even along the way, Cloud9, they went 3-1 in their group. And they actually, in the semifinals of the bracket play, went against Homeless rather than T1. Homeless at the upset against T1. So maybe they wouldn't have even made it to finals. Who knows? But Cloud9 will have to take that next step soon. We'll see if they're able to do it. Well, I mean, obviously, plenty of tournaments to come with Valorant.
Absolutely. And a big change for Valorant is the release of the new Agent Killjoy. We haven't seen what they're going to play like and how the pros are going to adapt to the new agent. But again, something new, something cool, always adding elements and layers of complexity. So we're really excited here to see that high level of play on the new agent. I can't wait to see what kind of changes that's going to bring to the meta in competitive play.
And as we wrap up Front Page Esports this week, we take a look at some news coming out of the CSGO community. It's been reported that Nitro, a beloved member of Team Liquid, a North American staple and powerhouse for many years, has stepped down after 5.5 years of representing North America's top CSGO organization. He was a flexible player, once an op, once a shot caller, but always the face of the franchise for CSGO and one of the community's favorites. And during his time with Team Liquid, they had their ups and downs and a bunch of different rosters, but recently they put together a force. In 2019, they ran through CSGO, winning multiple major championships. They became one of the best rosters in CSGO history alongside your Astralises and your Fanatics. His reasoning for stepping down hasn't been confirmed, but there's been some news out that they have a newest addition now, a young player, a young gun named Grim, who was formerly a member of Triumph, who has made a name for himself running through top-tier teams recently in his tournament plays. So a roster move that makes sense for Team Liquid, but at the same time, it's hard to see the heart and soul of a franchise like Team Liquid step away, but it's also such a selfless act to step down and let the organization take a step forward with a new player who you think might be better than you. It's just what Nitro's done for the last 5.5 years as the face of the franchise, always putting the organization first.
Absolutely. And that's how you can tell that a coaching staff, a team, and honestly, the franchise has that longevity when you're not relying on those high names, on those players that were legacy picks that have that kind of following, that you have the confidence to say, your time has passed. We have the new talent and bring us into the future. We're going to have to rely on it. That's smart coaching. And as much as it sucks when a player has to step down, that's how sports works. And so that's actually a good sign and a sign of good things to come.
All right, everybody, that's all the time we have this week on Front Page Esports. For Rob Flax, I'm Frank Salerno. Make sure Wednesday, CitrusTV Entertainment tap. You can check it out on CitrusTV Entertainment socials. We'll catch you guys next time.
See you guys.